Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Izzy, your host. I'm a brand designer from Ottawa, Canada, and I am here with the very talented Lisa McCormick from Made by Lisa Marie. Lisa is a graphic designer and illustrator based in Chicago, and we are so lucky to have you here again with us. How are you today, Lisa?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm so happy to be here with you. Like I know that I'm literally going to feast my eyes. Like everyone, if you had the chance to check out Lisa's profile, like it's chef kiss and already in with the puns.
I love it.
Can you tell us a little bit what we will be working on today?
Yeah, so today we will be going over how to design a menu design. So I'll be using my family's Thanksgiving dinner as kind of the prompt, but you guys can feel free to follow along, make your own menu designs as well. And I will be working in Adobe Illustrator and then making making mockups in Photoshop.
This is so nice. So I hope that everyone brought their appetites here with us. And I mean, can we ask for better? We're going to talk about food and design. I mean, those are my favorite stream ever.
You and me both.
I want to say hi to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already done so, please make sure to follow us on the YouTube channel and also on the Instagram or at Adobe Live. So you're up to the latest stream updates and latest community news. So I want to say hi to Dope Gazin. I see my friend Kristen being here, Uma Korn, Dope Gazin. I see Jack. Hi, Jack. It's so nice for all of you to be here. Now, Lisa, the moment that we all have been waiting for, please take the stage and do your thing.
Awesome. Yeah. As you were saying, my name's Lisa. I am a professional illustrator and graphic designer. I have my own freelance company called Made by Lisa Marie. And a lot of my work is pretty heavy on illustration. And so you'll be seeing a lot of illustration even within this menu design. So we'll be working on, as I was kind of saying before, doing some different taking my family's Thanksgiving and basically putting it together and making my own kind of custom dinner menu. So I prepared some sketches ahead of time in Adobe Fresco, which I wasn't able to quite show that. I had to do a little bit of homework beforehand because we will already be working in Illustrator and Photoshop. So here's some sketches. Basically that outline some of my dinner menu that we typically have. So you can see I did some hand lettering. I like to also have some like sketches of the different food menus or the food items that I'll have in my in our typical Thanksgiving meals. So my dad is 100% Polish, so we typically have some traditional Polish food. So I always like to include that. So we have some pierogies, kielbasa, sauerkraut, as well as some of the more typical Thanksgiving food items. So obviously we have a turkey, pumpkin pie, all that fun stuff. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just gonna kind of jump into it and show you my process from now that we have sketches, how to kind of jump in and make a fun menu design for my family. So I do have a little bit of a mood board that I put together over here. So I love John Alcorn, who is a designer and illustrator from like 50s, 60s, 70s. And so this is some of his work here. You can see very colorful, quirky, as well as these are some different 1950s menus and cooking books that I just thought were really fun and vibrant and colorful. So with that in mind, I'm gonna kind of jump into vectorizing some of these pieces so that I can use it for my illustration. So let's see, what should I start with? Oh, and I think I'm accidentally moved that down there. You know what? I'm gonna start with the pie because that
There
is
you
what I
go.
just grabbed. So I'm gonna
I must
grab
say,
this drawing.
is
Oh,
this an
sorry.
asparagus, like that branch that we see over there?
Over here.
This,
Yeah,
oh
it
my gosh,
is.
this is like the cutest thing ever.
Thank you. Yeah, do love asparagus. So I'm gonna just drag down my artboard, copy and paste this. And then I will, you can see I grabbed some colors over here, and I'm gonna talk about how to actually make a color palette officially. But these are just some kind of like fall-ish colors and like a nice variety that I wanted to start with. And so let's see, let's do pumpkin pie. So pumpkin pie is probably more of like an orange. And then maybe there's some shadows. That's a good color.
Need the crust as well, and the whipped cream.
Totally.
Oh, there's no whipped cream on yours right now, though. I mean, yes, on that plate after, like on the side.
Oh yeah, that's true. I did put a little whipped cream on that one. Yeah, that's a good call. I'll take some of actually I like this one. It's a little lighter. And yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of take these, move them down. And then usually what I like to do is I'll select my drawing, and I actually turn down the opacity, and then I'll lock it and create a new layer. Zoom in a little bit and then take a color. And this is kind of how I start to vectorize. So I'll just, let's see, how should I tackle this? I'm going to just start drawing the inside first. So yeah, Izzy, what is your favorite Thanksgiving meal or food? Like, do you like the sides better? Do you like the turkey?
I love the stuffing. I know it's like the most like fattening stuff.
No, the stuffing is good.
It's so good. We have a family recipe, and it's only my grandmother who would like make it. And then like my grandmother's passed, but she passed the recipe on to my mother, and we only have it once a year, and it's so special.
Oh, that's awesome. Is there any like secret ingredient that makes it really good in it?
I think it's the celery. There's a lot of celery in it. And it's so good. And it's not like a lot of crumbs. It's like almost like, I don't know how to, it's like potatoes. Like everything is really mixed really well. So you can actually scoop it and make it into a nice ball. Like, I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
Yeah, no, I'm that's a good visual. I feel like I'm picturing it as you're talking. That's awesome. Yeah, stuffing is so good.
What about you?
It's funny when you said stuffing, we do have traditional stuffing, but we also have I guess non-traditional stuffing that I really like, where it's actually made out of like pecans, turkey sausage, carrots, and celery. And then it's just, I think my mom usually cooks it in, it's probably like in like chicken broth and some like olive oil and seasoning. And so it's like very crunchy because there's like lots of like veggies and pecans and stuff like that. And it doesn't actually taste like regular stuffing at all. So I don't know why we still call it stuffing, but that is like, it's so good. It's like sweet and salty.
That's like my favorite combination.
I know, me too. I love it. But yeah, I'd probably say that.
My grandmother back then too would make a cheesecake on Thanksgiving, and that's the only time she would make a cheesecake. So that was also Thanksgiving, but yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good idea. I love cheesecake.
It's like all the food that I can't eat that I'm intolerant.
Like, oh no. Totally. Yeah. Well, it is funny. It's like everyone like, yeah, I feel like goes into like the stereotypical food coma afterwards. And
exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. I know.
Once
and yeah. Yeah. It is fun though. I definitely love it. Yeah, and I actually we split my my side of the family and then my husband's side of the family both live pretty close. So we do both Thanksgivings on the same day. And so we literally eat it twice. So we're like really in a food coma by the end
Nice.
of it. Yeah, that's kind of
So
funny.
stretchy pants for the whole day for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely one of my favorite days.
We can tell that you're used to doing this because the way that you used your pen tool was so fast when
Oh
you did that.
yeah. Well, yeah, let me know if you want me to slow down and talk through anything. I definitely, I guess my approach with the pen tool is, I guess my style overall is pretty, I like to keep things hand drawn. And so as you can tell, even like I start off with a sketch, I think a graphic designer by, my degree, but I've been drawing since I can remember. So everything definitely has a hand-drawn element to it. So even as I'm vectorizing, I like it to be a little wobbly and yeah, I guess it's more of like the feeling that it gives, unless I know there's some people that are way more technical with how to go about vectorizing. I lean a little bit more towards the intuitive, I guess, as I create.
I don't know if that would be the right term for it, but it's like, because it's not rough, but there's kind of like it's not clean lines, if that makes sense.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes I'll mix in cleaner lines, but yeah, I typically I like making things look like a human made it, like there's like that like imperfect touch and all of that. So
I feel like this will also be something like a style. I mean, we'll see if this is true or not, but with AI art where everything is so polished, right? I do feel that in the next following years, we'll see a trend of maybe like a bit more rough or more sketch like design as well, be to like have that duality with the AI art.
for sure, yeah. And I think that is the cool part of like being able to mix those two, because obviously there's a time where it looks really good to have art that's like super polished and clean and all of that. But I think that juxtaposition almost of having like both is pretty cool. So
Absolutely. And
yeah,
there is a time for everything too, right? Like for the style that you're trying to achieve as well, and the message that you're trying to create.
totally. I agree. Cool. Well, this is, yeah, starting to take shape a little bit. And yeah, I really, like I was saying, I really like to work in vectors. So I do always start with a regular analog drawing, so I can show that underneath. But then I think something that's really cool about like learning how to vectorize your illustrations is that now it's like so versatile and I can use it in anything. So especially when I'm doing client work that maybe they're making like a little sticker for something, but then they also need a truck wrap. I mean, I've designed like people's truck wraps or like these massive blankets or different things that'll be a lot bigger than just like a t-shirt design or something like that. It's nice to be able to scale the artwork and have have like a vector file of it. So do you typically work in vector, or what's your workflow like?
A lot of vectors for me. Illustrator is pretty much my go-to for everything. I'm a brand designer by day, but I do a lot of publishing for fun. So
Yeah,
it's like in between InDesign and Illustrator most of the time. Yeah.
totally.
A lot of Photoshop too for presentation.
That's awesome. Oh
It
my
is
gosh,
awesome.
I haven't opened InDesign in like 8 years. I should do that. I almost forgot
Oh my
about
gosh.
InDesign.
Even for client presentation, I do everything in InDesign because I feel like I have more flexibility that way in InDesign, like where I can template stuff really easily and easily replace my files and reuse the templates to present my work to my clients.
Yeah, no, that's smart. I definitely should do that. I feel like I do so much in Illustrator. I probably like use it to its max and then like use it like incorrectly for other things still. But oh, this is actually something I wanted to show. So okay,
Oh,
this
yes.
this looks insane right now. But I recently have gotten into more so like finding like fun textured um brushes in Illustrator, because again, I'm really big on like the hand-drawn look and all of that. So I'm always trying to find ways like, okay, after I convert this into a vector, how do I still make it look like hand-drawn and, you know, kind of rough, or like adding some of that personality back. So I bought these brushes that are just like so fun. And so actually I'll be using these all throughout. And so, yeah, I just think that that looks like so much more like a regular hand-drawn piece. And so actually I'm probably going to even take this, copy, paste, and give it that same like outline texture. Turn it down a little bit. And pull.
So where do you mostly get your brushes from?
Yeah, I usually use there's a pretty popular website, Retro Supply or True Grit Texture. So those are typically the websites I'll use. Have you used any of those or heard about them?
No, I usually do pretty clean like lines most of the time.
Cool.
But this is like definitely I want to try.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun because I feel like it kind of adds back like a little like hand-drawn feel. And actually, I think I am going to even try to accentuate the lines. Oops. I'm gonna pull down.
There you go. We have Jack here who dropped the Retro Supply link. So everyone who is watching, you can check them out right there. And we do have a question in
Oh
the
yeah.
chat. It's a business question.
All
So
right.
if you see a small business who needs a brand update, how do you go about making them your client without flat out saying your branding isn't the best?
Oh, well, I guess the first thing that I would say is it probably even depends on if you know them or not. So is this like a friend's business? But I guess assuming it's not a friend, assuming it's like, you know, someone totally, um, you know, a total stranger online that maybe you like their business, but you don't like their branding. I would suggest maybe even kind of like doing some work ahead of time and kind of helping them see like what it could look like. Like you can put together like if you're dreaming about doing this whole brand revamp, maybe like I'm just going to say it's a restaurant. So if you're wanting to redo like the logo as well as the menu designs, as well as like the t-shirts that the you know, employees are wearing and a truck wrap and all of this. So if you have this whole build out dream, I would say just put together one small piece of that. So maybe do a cool sketch of a logo that you're like kind of envisioning for them, and share it with them and just say, hey, I'm a really big fan of your company. I think, you know, whatever you're like, I love your food or something like that. Give them a compliment. Don't just come at them with like a, hey, this, you know, I think you should change everything. I would start and end with a compliment. But say, hey, like I love your food. I'm an artist. This is actually kind of like how I envision, you know, maybe how you could look or something, like present yourself to the world, and show them, like help them see your vision. And then again, say like, I would love to work with you. Let me know if that's something you're interested in. And yeah, just say something nice again and leave it at that. So that's probably how I would go about it.
Yeah,
Because, oh yeah, sorry.
I was
No,
just gonna say, saying something nice is always good as a good way to start. I'd say even avoid saying like "but," right? Like, oh, it's nice, but like right there, I think people will get a bit defensive. So I'd say build a relationship first. Like engage with them on social media, and if you can, like if it's like a local company, go there, like get to know the name of the owner. Um, so then it's like, hey, I'd love to support. I'd love to support you. Is there anything that you'd like your business to move forward with, right? Like not saying I want to change this. It's just, can I help you? And then see where it
absolutely.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I mean, small businesses, it's hard. It's hard to run a business already. And so,
Oh,
they might not
yes.
always have the budget too. So it's like just because it doesn't look a certain way, it's not necessarily like, they're not wanting it to look that way, like, so it's just, I think being sensitive to, um, yeah, just where people
Mm-hmm.
are at.
Mm-hmm.
So,
There's always ways to negotiate too. Like you could say, like if let's say they don't have the budget, you could be like, it's fine. Like, then can I make, I'm saying like just like crazy example, 10% of your sales for the next 3 months if the new branding works well or some like, like there's ways that you can negotiate something specifically if you're starting out and you want to build that portfolio. It could be a way to take a risk and they don't take that much of a risk with you. Oh.
totally. Yeah. Yeah. It's a good bartering system, especially if you're newer in your design career. And yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like what you were saying with you're trying to even build out your own portfolio a bit. It's yeah, maybe neither of you really have the budget or the experience. So you can kind of create more of like that win-win
Mm-hmm.
situation and help each other. I definitely did that a lot when I was starting out. Um, and it's fun. It's like, if it's a place that you really like and that passion will come through in your work and it'll be a great piece for your portfolio.
It's developing a relationship too, because who
Mm-hmm.
knows where things can go, right? Like every business started as a small business. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, I did want to point out one other thing that I'm doing right now. So you can see on the top right, I have libraries open, and I did just make a little Thanksgiving palette. And so I'm slowly starting to add these swatches to my palette, which is definitely something I like to do with a workflow. So you can see like I have this brown color, and basically all you do is make sure the swatch is selected, and you click the plus sign, and I'm going to add the fill color. So I just wanted to point that out there. That's definitely a helpful tool to have, to make sure everything's the right color.
do you flip often between Fresco and Illustrator, or would you mostly start in Fresco and then finish in Illustrator? Or
Yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I guess it also definitely depends on the project. So like this is going to be a lot more um based on like a whole like layout and typography, which actually I probably should start to jump into that. Um, but yeah, so most of the illustration part, I will definitely spend a lot of time in Fresco, and then I come here to kind of finalize things. I really like playing with layouts as well in Illustrator, and then I usually end in Photoshop with usually adding textures, mockups, all of that. So we will get into that as well today. But yeah, let me actually start with now that I'm kind of piecing together like what these could look like. I do want to start playing with the layout. So I have my menu card design, I'm sorry, dimensions over here. So I'm going to start to just kind of play. So yeah, let me see. Oh, this is locked. Unlock my sketches. That would be helpful. And then I didn't really do any crazy lettering for the Thanksgiving title because I think I am going to change this and try to use a font instead. But just to just to kind of start arranging things. So I have a rough idea of what this could look like. So let me pull out some of these food menus. Oh, I for some reason have those grouped together. Make a clipping mask. So if you ever have something grouped together like this, I'm trying to only grab the Brussels sprouts lettering, but this is all grouped. I'm going to make a box around this, a bounding box around Brussels sprouts, because that's what I want to take. And then I'm going to select that bounding box and the layer, and then press Command 7. So that's a quick shortcut for how to quickly cut something, which I use all the time. It helps me work a lot faster. So again, I'm just kind of dragging pieces from my sketches, and let me actually make this a lot bigger so I don't have to resize. So Izzy, do you typically work in Illustrator mostly, or what do you typically work in?
Illustrator. So I usually do all my sketching by hand. I'm very much what is it? Pencil and paper.
Totally, yeah.
And then I scan. And then like I will do my tracing. Then I should like work more in Fresco. It would be like probably faster, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I do like the fact that I can just have like a piece of it's like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a mini sketchbook in my purse. And if something strikes, like as I'm doing groceries or something, I can just like do it quickly. But yeah, so very much in Illustrator. Then yeah, logo design, all there, illustration, icons, a lot of patterns too for my brands. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I definitely I'm similar with, I carry a sketchbook everywhere, and yeah, and I think that's still like I'm a pretty big advocate of like still working at least like partially analog. Like I typically start analog no matter what, and then I'll like actually redraw my sketches in Fresco. So I'll like have, physical pieces of paper, and then that I've drawn on with a pencil and paper, and then I'll take a photo of those sketches and upload them into Fresco and then trace over them. But yeah, there's something like you can't beat starting with a sketchbook.
Something I've caught myself doing a lot too now is with AI, is like just having some images in Firefly, printing them, then tracing over it, and then mix and matching with the tracing paper, and then scanning that, bringing it in Illustrator, and then creating a whole new composition, because I change details as I'm tracing over the AI images.
Totally.
So,
cool.
Yeah, that's been it's crazy, because instead of being the first thing where you use pencil and paper, it's AI, then you go back to analog to come back to digital.
Yeah, that is wild. I do think it's cool though to like try to mix and match, different tools and kind of experiment. Because I feel like even like your workflow, or at least I know for me, like depending on my workflow, the end result does look different, So if I'm messing around in Illustrator, like it's different than if I just draw everything and the whole project is just in Fresco, or if I'm adding texture stuff in Photoshop, it's like a completely different feel than if I were to just use Illustrator. So I think it's interesting. It makes pieces a lot more interesting when you're working in.
That's it. And to me, a like good design or art in general is when I look at something and I don't know how it's made.
Yeah.
Like I want the people to fool me on how it's made.
Totally. I like that.
Yours definitely give me that vibe. I'm like, how?
Oh, thanks. Well, I take that as a compliment.
It is. It's definitely a
Thank you.
compliment because there's a lot of intricacy in your work. So,
Oh,
um, yeah,
thank you.
I think we're blessed today to see your process.
Oh, well, yeah, hopefully I can share some things, and everyone in the chat, please feel free to ask me any questions. I'm happy to talk through anything. So right now I'm kind of putting together like a rough layout. So I was trying to organize even like, okay, if I'm looking at a menu, they typically have different sections. So I just did sides, turkey, it's actually, fun fact, we do have different types of turkey,
Oh.
which I don't know if you can see. I wrote deep fried turkey, which is my dad's, like, it's like one of my favorite things that he makes in the world. And then smoked turkey as well, which is also really good. So I couldn't just put turkey. I had to give a shout out to his cooking. And then yeah, I guess all of these are just kind of different sides that we typically have. Brussels sprouts. Here's that veggie and sausage pecan stuffing I was talking about earlier. Traditional stuffing, sauerkraut, pierogi, kielbasa, all the goods. And then I'm picturing, I really want to have like little illustrations to go with it. Like again, I feel like this is bigger back in like the 50s, even like the 30s and 40s. I was doing some research on menus back in the day, and I gotta say, back in the day, people were having a little bit more fun with menu design. Like I feel like everyone had like these crazy illustrations and drawings and just kind of went wild with it. So I want to emulate that.
Do you think it's because they didn't have access to photography, food photography back then? That they needed
Um,
something to illustrate?
I mean, I think that that's a good question. I mean, they had photography still. I don't know if,
Or maybe like accessibility in the sense of they couldn't afford it?
yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I don't know like what would be, yeah, what the
I don't know.
price difference was, or it just, yeah, that's definitely a good point. That could be part of it, or maybe they just really like drawing. I don't know. Like
Maybe.
because even I think the way I should have brought some of those examples up, but like it was just like, oh my gosh, they really, I mean, it would be like goofy, quirky drawings. It wasn't like polished and fancy. It was like kind of the stuff that I like, that it's just like really playful, and I don't know. It was surprising. So kind of wanted to try to emulate that in mine. So yeah, I'm kind of okay, we've got kielbasa. I want to bring that over here. Maybe I will swap this out.
I love your handwriting too for this. I think it works perfectly.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to try some other like fonts in a second, but I think I might end up just using my handwriting, because even for this, again, this isn't like a fancy, restaurant menu. This is my own family's menu for like that will be used by like 10 people, right? So I like the personality, and just kind of keeping things a little more casual. Um, so yeah, I think I might keep it. So let's see. I can
It
grab.
has that personal touch too.
Yeah, thanks.
So I just want to give you a time check. We're already 34 minutes into this live. Time goes so fast in the Adobe sphere
Awesome.
when we're
Yeah, it
having
totally.
fun.
It definitely does. Thank you. Okay, so that's like a good rough layout, I would say. And I think I am going to at least pick a different font for this. Let me, oops. Oh, oops, I did not mean to drag that whole thing. Oh no.
Yeah, if you
There we
bring it, there
go.
you go, you got it.
I'm clicking on too many things here. Okay, so I'm going to just type out Thanksgiving. Keep at that actually. And I really want to pick kind of like a fun typeface. So yeah, I think I want something with like a lot of personality still. I've been really liking actually Oh No Casual. I don't know if you've played around with any of these. But actually Adobe Fonts has Oh No.
A lot of good stuff on Adobe fonts.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and also I've found even just like it has like a different vibe if you have
Oh yeah.
right? Isn't that kind of fun?
Yeah, that is super fun.
A little different.
I think you could connect the K and the S together. So that could be like a nice like.
Totally. Yeah, that would be cool.
I've been working with a lot of serif fonts that recently, and a lot of italics. I don't know, it's like the vibe for me right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, I guess I am doing well, like my own handwriting script and yeah, lots of fun stuff. All right. So yeah, I'll kind of start to play with this. I am kind of liking the more like quirky fonts right now, just because again, like I was saying, this is going to be for my family's Thanksgiving, so it feels like I can be super playful and it doesn't have to be all buttoned up. It can just be like a ton of personality. um I know my family's pretty casual and yeah, I want it to reflect that vibe. Cool.
That's you know your audience. You know what's going to make them smile.
Totally. All right. And then I think that's looking pretty good. So I'm going to, again, when I'm working in Illustrator, I typically like to take advantage of the fact that everything is vectorized and layers are free. So I like to save things and I'll just move to a new part of the screen and copy and paste it, and then I'll start playing more and changing it. So I'm gonna start adding some color into this. Oh, actually, I did also wanted to add either like a dinner menu thing, or I guess I kind of like, I love both of these. There we go.
I love how you say layers are free. Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, layers are free. I mean, like it's like you can just keep making more.
Yeah.
Which it's like, that's like one nice thing about like digital is that like, I mean, sketchbooks aren't free, like you have to
true.
buy more pages
That's
and all
very
that.
true.
Where it's like when you're working digitally, that is one thing that
Oh my gosh.
free.
I feel like you should have some merch that says that, like on a t-shirt in the back or something, like work hard at the back, layers are free.
I do actually, yeah, I will definitely think about that. That's a good one.
If you do, please let me know. I'll be your first buyer.
Totally. I appreciate that. Okay, cool. So I think that's starting to be pretty fun. Again, feels casual, feels quirky, has all the right information, is easy to read. And so now,
super fun.
Thanks. Oops, oh my gosh, I keep grabbing that whole thing. It's funny, I just bought a new mouse like a couple days ago, and I think I need to reconfigure it a little bit because it keeps on acting up a little bit. Okay. So now I'm going to just make it more of like an off-white. We'll play with
It's crazy how just that is giving it so much more personality already.
I know. I love colors. It definitely helps just like, yeah, pack a whole new like punch or like feeling.
Mm-hmm. Do you have colors that you're finding yourself working a lot with recently?
Honestly, I would say colors for me are like actually one of my favorite things with design, and I love new things, so I tend to not stick too long with anything. I think it's more so like I guess I do always like having some type of like um warmth about most of my artwork. So there's definitely going to be some like warmer color tones typically. Like I really like oranges and blues
Oh yeah.
together. And so actually I think that is what I'll probably end up doing for this even. But yeah, I think I mostly like how like colors interact with each other. So yeah, what about you? Do you have any favorite color schemes?
No, it's very much a mood thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
But we just launched our new zine, and we had a lot of fun with colors in there. And we tried to mix and match colors that you would not see together usually.
Nice.
So one of my favorite pages is we have a bright neon yellow with like a deep yellow gold,
Oh,
like
cool.
metallic, which you never see. You never see like a yellow on gold usually, but it works really, really well.
Totally. That's really cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Um, so I am going to quickly do another vector of this. So let's see, I'm going to do the same thing where I'll just turn the opacity down, lock that layer, and then start to draw. I'll make sure I just have the outline on. I cannot believe Thanksgiving is like almost here. That feels insane.
I feel like this year has just went by so fast in general. It's a little insane.
Totally. And you already had Thanksgiving. You're saying that you had it, or Canada celebrates um in
October.
October. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Second weekend of October is our Thanksgiving. It's not as big as the US, but all the same foods. Although I must say, never thought of having pierogies on Thanksgiving. So this is definitely something that I'll consider next time, or maybe
Yes.
even buy for tonight, because since we've started talking about it, I'm craving them.
Yes, please do. Do you have any good like Polish delis near you?
We have some restaurants that specialize in pierogies. I don't know if they're Polish, but it's just pierogies, and you can like it's kind of like crazy, but it's kind of like a mix between a Canadian poutine and pierogies.
Oh,
Do
wait,
you know?
what's a Canadian poutine? I'm not familiar with that.
So poutine is like the fries, cheese curds, and gravy. It's
Okay.
a like French like meal that's um and it's Canadian. So instead of just fries and gravy, you add cheese curds like on it. Like
Oh my
um
gosh, yum.
yeah. So they do, instead of having the fries, it's pierogies, and then they put like bacon on it or like all the good stuff, and
Oh my gosh.
it's like a heart attack like on a plate basically.
Sounds so good.
It's so
Love
good. Like you
that.
have it once a year, you eat a quarter of it, and you're good.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. If you go, I would love to see a picture because that sounds amazing.
Will do.
That's awesome.
We'll tag Adobe Live, so then like you guys can all see too.
Perfect. Cool. Okay, so I just made that cup really quick, and I'm just gonna kind of do same thing with adding that texture brush. Let's see. And I like this brush pack because you can see there's just like so many different types, and they all have like kind of a different feel. Um,
But they work so well together.
they do, yeah, and you can really mix and match. And it's
Mm-hmm.
also like thin enough that even when you scroll out, you can't really tell, but it has just a little bit of texture that it's like, oh, what is that? Which I think is fun. Okay, so I'm going to unlock that layer. And then I did do, as I think I was kind of mentioning earlier, a little bit of homework in advance. So I know these sessions go by so fast. So I did actually make a couple other pieces over here. So I'm just going to grab these.
Oh, this is so gorgeous. So you literally prepared your life as if it was a cooking show.
You know, I was trying to, stick with the theme of cooking, and this is my moment of, let's put this in the oven, bake for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Oh, here
that's what I was gonna
is.
say. You literally have a turkey in the oven that's ready for us to see.
It is ready. Yes. So I'm gonna just kind of swap that out, replace this, and you can see again. I'll zoom in. Look at that texture on the brush stroke.
It's
so
gorgeous.
Again, it's just a regular stroke with a line, but I added like a fun texturized brush, and it looks like so much more fun.
Those lines on the pierogies too, it's so cute.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
So it's just a little bit of texture. And I remember like years back when I didn't know how exactly people were getting that texture, it looked so intimidating. And I was like, how do they do that? Is that all by hand? And so I'm trying to share the secrets that it's not that hard, that you can, it's actually just a normal pen tool stroke, and you change the brush, and you can quickly add texture to all of your drawings. So highly recommend it. Again, I'm going to swap this out. I'll move this little drawing up there, swap out the pie. And you know what? I'm going to take actually the stroke out of this one. Make sure it kind of matches a little better. Cool. Okay.
Lovely.
Thank you. Yeah, it's starting to come together.
It is.
And now, let's see, I'm going to make this. I will do a blue cup. Actually, I need to make this whole thing connected. So, do you ever use the, I think it's the Shapebuilder tool?
Yes.
It's become
that and the Pathfinder a lot.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite tools. Actually, I guess I don't need to use this because I could technically just hide it behind this.
Yeah.
Maybe I will, just to show off the tool.
Sure.
In case people want to learn how to use it. So we'll just select the Shapebuilder tool. I have both of these selected. And then you just drag and cross over to the part that you don't want, and it's already excluded. And now this is a full shape. So I can just go ahead and fill that with blue now. Fill that. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Actually, I am just going to send it to the back so we can keep moving. But yeah, the Shapebuilder tool is super helpful though. And actually, I do want to have that filled with coffee. That is also such a staple for us, is we always have coffee after dinner at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, which is kind of crazy, but that is part of the tradition for us for Thanksgiving. So I had to make sure to include that. And then I kind of want to have, I think I'm going to take out some of this line art, remove that. Then I'm going to add the stroke back in here. Let's see. I clicked on too many things. There we go. So I'm going to just draw a little
where they
stroke.
connect. Okay.
Yeah. And then so that it's not the whole outline, but it has more of like a stylized. I feel like that was pretty popular in like the mid-century modern look, where there's some line art, some color fills, and it's kind of that balancing act of like, okay, where do you do a whole stroke? Where do you just do a little line? So maybe I'll even do a little line right here.
Yeah. It's like a suggestion, almost like a shadow.
Exactly.
Even,
yeah. Exactly.
So I just want to mention that we're a little bit over the halfway mark already.
Awesome.
It's again, like it goes by so fast when you're having fun. I do want to mention to everyone who is watching that if you'd like to nominate yourself or someone that you know to be a guest on Adobe Live, just like Lisa today, you can submit your recommendation in the tab on Behance where it says guest recommendation. And also we have Adobe's Teresa O, who has conversation with some of the people who made up the rapidly expanding creator economy in her new podcast series In the Making. So subscribe now to follow along for the full season. And that's it. And if I can kindly ask Jack to share that link, that would be amazing.
Cool. So yeah, I just added a little bit of texture, a little line art. So now when you scroll out, it's looking like it has a little more personality. I think I am going to make these a little thicker. Oops. Let's see, do half an inch or 0.5 points. Yeah, but I feel like that gives it like a fun amount of personality.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the same with this, make it a little
Crazy how
thicker.
that white line just added like a whole other dimension to your coffee.
I know, yeah. And I do like that it looks like, like how a sketch looks like when you're kind of adding a little something. Cool. Well, yeah, I think I will do one more. So I'll do this little fork. And, I think I actually might just do the fork. I don't know if I really like the kielbasa on the end of it. So editing as I go.
Yep. I mean, that's part of the process, right?
It really is. Yeah, it's fun, but it's like a little much. So let me go ahead and just grab that blue color again and start to draw it out with the pen tool.
So Lisa, there's something that's been like burning on the tip of my tongue that I want to talk about.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Well, you were a speaker at Adobe Max. So I want to know more about that.
It was, yeah. Oh my gosh, that was like such a huge honor. And yeah, honestly, something that I had always wanted to do, but wasn't sure if I ever would do it. But that was such a cool experience. So basically I was working actually with the team all summer to create some assets for the Adobe Max keynotes for Illustrator and Express. So it's basically like the big sessions that show all the new features. So I had the chance to be able to actually work with them on creating all of like creating a brand design and some assets so that they could use to help demonstrate all the new features. So that was like super cool. And oh my gosh, such a fun experience. Everyone is so great on that team. Really loved it. And yeah, and so we wrapped that up, and then they actually asked me to do a talk on how I made those assets. So I created a brand design in actually using Fresco Illustrator and a little bit of Photoshop. But so they asked me to basically present that and show how I made this brand. It was a boba brand. So it's like a bubble tea. brand. And yeah, so I went over that. I did some live demos. I talked about my process, which is pretty similar actually to this, how I started from sketches and then went into vectorizing. And I went a little bit more into how I came up with the ideas as well. So the logo was a bear mascot. But yeah, you can actually see all of it on my Behance or also my Instagram. I have that project up. So yeah, feel free to check it out. But that was such a cool experience. Really grateful to be able to have spoke. That was crazy.
I mean, have you, like, whenever you were like on your upbringing for your design journey, have you ever imagined that it would be you like on that stage? Like,
oh no, I mean, I I feel like even especially when I first kind of started working with Adobe, I would always say, I'm like, if I can do it, trust me, anyone else can do it, you know, like, and I do mean that. I mean, not to put myself down, but like, yeah, it's like I feel like a lot of this stuff is like anyone can learn it. It definitely takes a lot of hours, you know, it's the time and the energy, but especially like, you know, I was just like a normal kid that loved drawing, and I never thought actually I could create a career out of this. This wasn't like on my radar as something I could do full time. This was more of like a hobby, I thought. And so, but I would draw all the time. And even as a graphic designer, I would still like continue to, you know, I worked at a company after college. And then I would continue to come home and keep drawing and freelancing on the side. And so I really loved it. I feel like you have to have that love for it in order to make it work, because it definitely does take a lot of practice. You know, it doesn't just come like you're not born knowing how to use Adobe Illustrator. But yeah, the cool thing is I really believe like wholeheartedly, if I can do it, anyone can learn. So I'm not like naturally tech savvy at all. So to be able to work for Adobe is like amazing. Definitely not something I thought I was going to be able to do. So okay, cool. So I'm really liking this. And I did want to create a quick pattern, which yeah, I know we're kind of coming up to we're past the halfway mark, but I am going to just drag a couple of these pieces, and I want to show everyone how to make a pattern real quick. And so I think I want to have the back side of this have like a fun pattern. So I'm going to select these and we'll go to, let's see, object, pattern, make. Okay, and then we'll basically, it actually does look kind of fun already, but I just kind of like to toggle around. I don't always have the biggest rhyme or reason for things. I think I kind of mentioned earlier, I'm pretty like intuitive with design. Like that's more of my approach, rather than like, I know some people are way more calculated, or they're really good about like knowing all the rules, and yeah, like having more of like a structured design practice, which is, I'm always amazed. I'm impressed by those people. But I'm definitely more of like a kind of like working things until it feels right. I don't know what your process is, but yeah, kind of just, I like playing with things. Let's see.
I'm the same as you. And sometimes I come back to the first idea, but at least I have tried a few things before to make sure that it was the right idea.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like I like to follow my curiosity, and then it's like, okay, if
that's it.
That works, cool.
And I feel like it fits your style really well too, specifically if you want that more like playful and hand-drawn, like having those happy accidents can definitely like bring something special to your designs.
Totally. I loved the happy accident reference that made me smile. But yeah, good Bob Ross quote. Love it.
Oh my
Okay.
gosh, Bob Ross.
What a gem.
Yes, I know. Oh, this is lovely.
So yeah, that's like a quick like, wow, okay, all of a sudden now it's a whole fun pattern. So I think that could even be cool around the border, I'm wondering. So
Oh, yes.
let me see. I think I'm gonna pull this orange and send it to the back. So oh, I think there's a stroke on this. Let me make sure there's no stroke. There we go.
Mhm.
Yeah,
We
that's
have
kind of,
Nuno here saying, cool stuff, Lisa.
oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
And while we're in the chat right now, I want to say if you're just tuning in, welcome. We are here with Lisa McCormick, who is designing a Thanksgiving menu for her family. And I see some new names. I see Sammy, I see Sarah, I see Tessa, and want to say massive thank you for joining us today.
Yes, thanks everyone. So glad you all came. Yeah, I am just kind of do a recap. I'm designing a Thanksgiving dinner menu for my family and just showing how I use my sketches and create vectorized illustrations, kind of make a whole style and vibe of the menu using fonts, colors, illustrations. So I'm hoping that this piece feels overall very friendly, welcoming, kind of like a laid back dinner party. And yeah, I think it's feeling pretty good actually. I did have, because I figured I would probably not have the time to do this, but I wanted to show you really quick.
Oh,
I
wow.
did play with this beforehand. And so even just, I was playing with different fonts. And so again, here is actually a good example of this is, the same drawings, the same words and everything, but this feels so fancy.
It feels very polished. Yeah.
Yes, which I love. I actually really like these
It's
typefaces.
yeah, together it's really nice.
Yeah, and even more of just like that like simple illustration look. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's very elegant, which I really like that. But it didn't feel right for a family Thanksgiving party. So I was kind of playing with how do I make it a little bit more quirky? And these are all just kind of rough, quick ideas. But I just wanted to show you the difference of like how fonts can change a whole mood. So again, for this, I was staying quirky and light and yeah, more like just like what you would have at a family gathering. So yeah, I think now I'm going to take these and put them in Photoshop. So let me just copy
Ooh.
this real quick. I'm going to actually just to kind of like do this a quicker way. I am going to take a screenshot. I think that would be a good, or I guess I could go all the way and export this, but sometimes I'll do this even when I'm working quickly and trying to see what's working or not. So this is genuinely my process. So all right, I will go
So we do
ahead.
have a question in the chat from
Oh yeah.
Krishna, who is asking, what is your approach to creating a brand identity? Big question.
Yeah. Well, I would say, what is my approach to creating a brand identity? I think first of all, I like to figure out who the brand is. So like, is this like a new company or does it already have like a personality and branding? But I think it's a lot of like storytelling. And
Mm-hmm.
with that, I think there is sorry, I can't talk and work at the same time. Let me stop for a second. So I think I will especially if it's like a client, I'll sit down and I'll talk with them and I'll brainstorm like what their values are, what their like aesthetic is already. But then I will kind of go in and have my spin on it. And usually people do hire me for my style because I am uh I tend to like the art that that tends to like just like come out of me naturally is like colorful, hand drawn, lots of personality. And so people that do like that style typically or people that do come to me typically like that style. So I'll try to like bring that into their brand. And then I always start with sketches. So and I start wide, I cast a wide net, if you will, and I'll start with sketches and ideas. And almost like no ideas are bad ideas in the beginning. So I just kind of explore everything, and and then I'll filter down and say, okay, what's working, what's not working. And every revision, it's less. But I always like to say I cast a really wide net in the beginning. So yeah, let me know if that makes sense, or if you have any questions on details around that. I'm always happy to talk about that. So real quick, I am going to work in this, what's that over there? Work on making a mock-up over here. And so I am just taking my screenshot, placing it. Oh man, that is a little bit off. Let me make sure that, let me extend this a little bit. I don't want that to be
no stretching the design.
No stretching. No, I am not a fan of that.
No.
Yeah, certainly not. So let's pull this back up. And okay.
I feel like you just extended your background. You can take another screenshot and then you could, know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like your pattern, and then you could just play with the formatting. I'm not explaining it right, but
oh, that's okay. Yeah, I think I'm just going to make it a little tighter, and then technically I want to copy that shape so it's the right shape. Put this in the background. Whoops.
Christy's saying no stretching. Yes, Christy. That's your second t-shirt. Layers are free, and then no design stretching.
Oh my gosh, wait, that's amazing. Okay, I am writing that down once I'm off of this. No stretching. That would be like really funny to wear to like the gym too, or something, like where people are like supposed to stretch. Like they're like, wait, what? Like, why are you so against stretching?
I would wear that to like Adobe Max or something, and then I would make sure to have a QR code so then people could see my website. And like under the QR code, I would say something like that you dare to scan, or something like, to make sure that they would scan to have like website views.
Totally. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I love that.
We have Krishna saying, thank you for your insight. I really appreciate it. So that's about the branding identity process question.
Awesome. Yeah, of course. And please let me know. I feel like I don't know if I gave a great answer. So let me know if you want me to clarify anything. I'm happy to talk.
From what I gathered, it's almost like you're taking the approach that like quantity sometimes is better than quality. So you'll allow yourself to just pour ideas out and then see what sticks, and then refine what that idea that should be explored more and sticks with the storytelling of the brand that you're branding.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely part of it. And like I think also just allowing myself to like play and explore, as like basic as that sounds, because I don't know about you. I know you said you draw and like to work in sketchbooks as well, but sometimes it's like, all right, the blank page staring back at you is like the most intimidating thing. So it's like, okay, sometimes you have to just lay down some ideas really quickly and get them done. And then you can keep going, and it starts flowing better. So I think it's like, yeah, it's a mix of definitely the quantity, as well as like almost like allowing yourself to play and have fun.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people too that does like Venn diagram for words to get inspiration. Um, some do strategy before. I do strategy. I love doing that. There's also you can do is like a mood board and vetting the mood board with your client to make sure you're in that right direction. So there's a
Yeah,
lot of stuff that you can do in order to just make sure that you're on the right track.
totally. Yeah, how do you like to strategize typically?
I do a full deep dive in the strategy. I have a like it's like usually like 2 2 hour like sessions, but we do a very deep dive. Like we have like a full customer profiles and their problems, and like we truly understand who we're trying to attract and figuring out the problem, and like how does the client even become aware of the problem so they would search for your business and stuff like it's a lot.
Yeah.
But once that's done, then doing a mood board, and just to make sure, like I always vet that with my clients. But doing all that, then I only present one concept with
Okay.
revision instead of multiple concepts.
Mm, yeah, that's interesting. That's a cool way to approach things.
It's more brain work than design, and sometimes it's not fun. It's not always fun. Like when I'm writing the strategy, sometimes I'm like it's tough, and I'm not a writer, so um, but sometimes I have projects that like they I have more of a blank card if you want, and then I have more play.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you ever do like personal projects for
Um,
yourself?
I have too many personal projects. Yes.
That's awesome. Well, I always, whenever I hear someone that doesn't do personal projects, I'm like, oh no, you should do some. So I think that's good to have a bunch going on.
Yeah, sometimes like which one should I prioritize?
That's
It's
awesome.
bad. That's a
What
great question for the chat. Like, do you have any personal projects right now that you're working on, and what are they?
Yeah, I have one that I've been working on for a couple of years now. That is it's just like my own personal travel posters that I've made from
Oh
over the years
yeah.
of my favorite just places I've ever been to. And it's just something that feels like so life-giving to me. It also, forces me to incorporate a bunch of different things in it. So there's like typography or hand lettering, a lot of um, obviously illustrations. I get to play with different color palettes, like all of that. So I don't remember how I thought of that idea, but that's been like such a fun ongoing personal project.
And weren't you just in Japan?
I was, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that has quickly become one of my favorite places ever. Japan was so amazing, so inspiring. Yeah, I did a Tokyo illustration that is also up on my Behance, as well as Instagram that you can see. I actually just did I think on Instagram I shared a little of the behind the scenes work for that to help people get a taste of like how I made that. So if you're wanting to make something similar, or even just like understand more of the brainstorming process, like hopefully that would help show a little bit of the behind the scenes. But yeah, that was such a cool place to visit.
Ah, it's on my list.
Totally.
So we have Cameron here about the personal project question. I would like to, and I'm not sure where to start. I have been doing some for friends, so doing some personal projects for friends, but not sure where to start for themselves. Would you have any recommendation about that?
Yeah, I would say follow what you're interested in. So, I would say, yeah, like two different prompts, I guess, that you could take is for one thing, make the thing that you wish existed today. So if you want more of like an open-ended prompt, it could be like, you could keep it as simple as that, so that, you know, maybe one day you're like, oh, I wish this cool t-shirt existed. And maybe the next day you're like, oh, I wish this like coffee mug existed. So it can always be changing. Or you can create something that's a little bit more themed, like what I'm doing with like the travel poster. I love traveling. It's like one of my favorite things. And so I was like, that's something I don't think I'll ever get like sick of or run out of inspiration for. So I was like, that would be something fun to, just kind of have this like ongoing, it's almost like in a way, like a visual journal for me of my favorite places. So follow your interests and make sure it's something that you won't get sick of, so that you stick with it.
Just want to do a quick time check. We have about 6 minutes before we start the full wrap up.
Awesome.
Of like, yeah. And then we have a follow-up from Cameron asking, would companies or employers wish to see like personal design projects, or like for some friends or other companies?
You know, I think it's a mix of both. I think that if you're trying to market yourself as a like professional designer in a more of like a field of like you want to be hired for like company work, then you should make sure what you're putting in your portfolio is what those companies are looking for. So I wouldn't say like if you're trying to get hired to do branding work, I wouldn't just post pictures of drawings of I don't know, just like personal drawings from, trying to think of an example of from your bed, like of your cat or something, you know, like unless, you know, like it. So if you're like wanting to market yourself as something, I would try to like, it can be a personal project for a friend. Like you could make you could also like traveling and make a brand for every city that you really love, you know, and put that in your portfolio. So it can be personal. It doesn't have to be for a company, but I'd more so just make sure that the content matches, if that makes sense. But yeah, hopefully that makes sense.
I think too, like what an employer wants to see is your ability to solve problems. So show them the process of the problem that you had in front of you, even though if it's for a friend, let's say you're branding a friend and that's where you want to, like, that's what you want to do, become a brand designer.
Yeah.
Like show, okay, we started with this and then that's the sketches and we did this logo. Like they want to see that. So hopefully this helps your portfolio process as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So these are looking lovely.
Yay.
So now we're just fine-tuning the mock-ups.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just kind of playing around in Photoshop, and I found this mock-up actually using Adobe stock, and it's a good way to kind of quickly visualize what your piece could be. You can change all the colors, which is kind of fun.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, make everything kind of match. I think the background is a little bit too similar. I should change that color. But yeah, it kind of helps. It helps you visualize what's working. And I think as long as I have enough time, I think I actually am going to try to get these printed out and actually use them at my family's Thanksgiving. So this is helping me see how it could look.
I was going to ask that if you were going to do this. I mean, print just gives a whole new dimension on how you consume design.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. So that is that's the plan, is I'm hopefully actually going to really make these for my family. So I thought that would be really fun. Yeah. And what's nice about this one, it's like all of these are editable. Oh, whoops. And yeah, you can just kind of keep playing around, make everything.
Will you be adding this project to your Behance and Instagram?
Ooh, I probably will. Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
So if there's more fine tuning, we can go and like check that out a little later.
Definitely. Yeah, I know. I feel like there's always so much to tweak. But yeah, I would say overall though, that's looking pretty good. I think that would be a really fun thing to have at my family's Thanksgiving. It shows off like some of my favorite food, highlighting the pierogies. So I'm happy with how this is looking.
This is looking so good. I mean, I think it's time for a recap of everything that you have worked on today.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I can go back. So we started off again in Adobe Illustrator. So I'm going to kind of zoom out and go all the way back up to this is, we started with some fresco sketches. So I had already some sketched out pieces of different food items from my Thanksgiving dinner, as well as I put together a quick color palette of just kind of like warm colors that felt like very fallish, as well as, oh, sorry.
No, no, please. I was going to say, can you also show your reference for your color palette? Because I find that your references are so cool.
Oh, yeah. And
Like,
then,
yeah.
yeah, and I pulled some references that are mostly kind of like a mid-century modern cookbook design, which I really liked how they did the illustrations. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's so fun and playful, as well as John Alcorn, who is one of my favorite illustrators from the 50s, 60s, 70s. Love his work.
And we
And then,
can see the line reference too from these inspiration and what you've done in your illustrations.
yes, yeah. So you can see definitely that kind of mid-century
Mm-hmm.
modern. They used a lot of texture, which was like so fun. So definitely tried to like emulate that. We did some layout design, picking out different uh or I'm sorry, picking out a typeface to go along with the personality, make sure it felt quirky, casual. And then we created vectorized versions of the sketches so that you can kind of quickly then copy, paste, create pattern designs, really build out this whole entire brand. I also put it in the background as the border. And then also, I showed quickly just even the difference of like how much a font really changes the whole tone of something. So obviously, this is the exact same text. This is, same menu design and layout and everything, except the font is different and it feels totally buttoned up. Like it feels like, something that you would see at maybe a nicer restaurant. Um, and yeah, not necessarily the vibe I was going for, but I did want to show just an example of how powerful typefaces are. So, and then after that, we went ahead and opened up Adobe Photoshop and just started to play with the mockup. And I found this again on Adobe stock. Found this template, and you can really edit everything. As you can see, I can even like move around the rosemary leaf and everything. It's super customizable, which is cool. And it'll just help me visualize what the final will look like when I do end up actually printing this out for my family's Thanksgiving.
This is so lovely. It's been such a wonderful stream, Lisa. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and insights with us. I mean, your accounts have been shared in the chat, but for everyone who's watching, where can
Yeah.
we find you?
Yeah, absolutely. I did actually pull up, let's see if I can find it. I have a lot of screens going on. If I can drop this in, here
Oh,
is
there
just
you
a
go.
quick look at my website. So you can find me at madebylisamarie.com as well as on Behance. I'm Lisa McCormick, so that's just my full name. And yeah, this is actually the Tokyo illustration
So
that I was
good.
talking about. So yeah, you can click around, follow me there. I'm also on Instagram at Made by Lisa Marie, and give me a follow there. Feel free to message me. I love helping people out if you have any questions. Yeah, I'm always here to talk. So
Again, thank you so much. You have some love in the chat saying this is looking so good. And I do agree as well that like this project, I mean, now I'm very hungry. So for everyone, make sure to grab a snack, come back, because up next, join graphic designer Anika Agarwal and help her to create a poster design using her favorite quotes in Adobe Illustrator, from sketch to vector, and using the latest features in Illustrator. This stream is perfect for creatives of all levels. Thank you so much again. Thank you, Lisa, and we'll see you again next time.
thanks, Izzy. See you guys. Thanks for joining.